Welcome back. We'll just flip over to the news studios where Anne Wawada is standing by for the headlines. Hello, Anne.
Hello, Nyota. Nigeria will be a better place if those who want to hold public offices from councillors to governors and presidents can shun desperation in a bid to get to such positions. These were the words of President Goodluck Jonathan while he was speaking at the launch of a book in Abuja in support of his campaign ahead of the presidential election next week. Meanwhile, the All Progressives Congress APC presidential candidate General Muhammadu Buhari has appealed to the Igbo community in the north and the Federal Capital Territory to support his efforts to rescue Nigeria from economic collapse. General Buhari said the rescue mission of the APC will be successful if the elections are free, fair and credible at all levels. And it's barely 1 week to the general election, but the issue of whether or not the card readers should be used for the polls still is being debated. The electoral umpire, Professor Tahiru Jega, who was a guest on our early morning show, Sunrise Daily, makes it clear that there is no going back on the use of the card readers. And finally, the highly anticipated eclipse has finally happened. Millions of people in the United Kingdom and Northern Europe have glimpsed the occurrence, referring to it as the best solar eclipse in years. In a solar eclipse, the patch of the Earth is plunged into darkness as the moon comes between us and the sun. Well, those are the headlines. You're still watching Nigeria 2015. It's back to you, Nyota.
Thank you, Anne. And we'll continue with our conversation. We still have Tokunbo Dutola here and the PDP legal advisor, Victor Kwan, on telephone joining us from Abuja. Okay, Tokunbo, now let's look at what exactly are hate speeches. Now, some people out there might not understand what exactly are hate speeches and how is it that politicians tend to focus more on digging up the dirt on the other instead of looking at issues.
Well, I think we could describe hate speeches as acts capable of inciting the commission of a crime. I could decide to bring about some things that would just incite the general public against a particular person or group of persons. So when you find out that some politicians are hammering on hate speeches, in most cases, it's when they have nothing to offer. When you cannot come and tell us, this is what we have done, this is how we have done it, and this is how far we have gone.
Okay, let's look at some examples of some of the statements we've heard before we go to our correspondent, talk about who we spoke to earlier. Now, statements like the blood of baboons and will flow, or statements like if you see them, stone them. These are statements credited to two political parties, one your party and the other party, the PDP. So how is it that, is it because these people who made these statements do not have anything to offer that they are talking this way, or is it just a way to denigrate the opponent?
I know particularly that the statement of if you hear of any change, stone them, and such other derogatory statements are mostly statements that come out of the PDP party, from the likes, we all know them, who come on air severally to make such statements.
Okay, Mr. Kwan, statements like if you hear change, stone them. I made two statements here. One, the blood of baboon and bulls will flow, and stone them. So he says it's your party that usually makes most of these statements. Do you agree with that?
Well, that's not true, and Nigerians know this. The candidate of the PDP, His Excellency President Goodluck Jonathan, has maintained all along that his ambition to run is not worth the blood of one single Nigerian. And that is very clear. And it's also very evident which among the two parties is desperate. On the other hand, Nigerians also know that the candidate of the APC, the very candidate for the office of president, is the one credited making the statement he alluded to. And so, yes, of course, this is a competitive election, but like the president has said, every party, every candidate must be very conscious that beyond the elections, we have a country called Nigeria. And we must, in every conduct or speech realize that we're going to remain Nigerians, and the unity of this country and the progress of this country is what is at stake. And so
Mr.
I totally disagree.
Mr. Kwan, I have to go to the Hague right now.
These statements have come from the PDP. They are rather emanated from the APC.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kwan. Mr. Motochoko, now, do you think that the threat of prosecution by the ICC is enough to deter politicians from making statements that can, incite violence?
Well, the ICC is only part of the system, and we are hoping that the statements that we make are going indeed to be deterrents. But it takes much more than that. It takes commitment. It takes the commitment of the leaders themselves, and it takes their conviction for them to be able to stop making such statements. But we do hope that by sending this clear message, the prosecutor is sending a clear warning that now anyone who commits these crimes or anyone who incites commission of these crimes, then that person is going to be held accountable.
The ICC is like a watcher over the entire nation throughout the period. Do you have monitors in Nigeria to monitor what's going on?
No. It's not our role. We're a judicial institution. It is not our role to monitor the elections. It is the role of others who have got a mandate to do that. All we do is to really to warn against the commission of crimes. So we don't do monitoring of elections.
I know, but you're hoping to get enough evidence to prosecute anybody that goes contrary to the laws?
We're hoping to get enough information that will lead us to the conclusion that crimes that fall within the jurisdiction of the court have been committed. And then on the basis of that, then we'll start our investigations. At the moment, we're not collecting any evidence. We are collecting information. And on the basis of that information, we'll be able to determine whether the crimes that fall within the jurisdiction of the court have been committed or not, on the basis of which we can then open an investigation.
All right, Mr. Motochoko, we'll come back to you and the rest of the panelists here. We'll just flip over to Imo State, where our correspondent, Stokbe Kutei, will tell us what's happening. We spoke to him earlier in the day, so we'll bring you that report now. Stokbe.
Today, the long-awaited peace accord amongst all the political parties in Imo State has just been signed. Here are the premises of the Imo State Police Command in Owerri, the Imo State capital. And today, present, we have all the security chiefs and 24 political parties, including their governorship candidates and the chairman. However, the APC governorship candidate and the Imo State Governor, Rocha Sokorocha, was absent, but was represented by his deputy, Prince Eze Madumere. I have with me the Imo State Commissioner for Police, Abdulmajid Ali, to tell us why it took Imo so long to sign the peace accord.
We have an adage that says better to be late than to be late. I need to inform you that from the beginning, we have the intention to have this thing earlier. But you know, Imo State happened to be a very peaceful state, and throughout the election campaign, we have not recorded any serious incident. No bomb blast, no fracas between parties. But we now felt that it's better to have the accord signed, no matter what the situation. And that was why we call it one today. Initially, we called the other time, but not all of them were present, so we have to shift it. It was shifted. Then today, we're happy that the long-awaited accord has been signed.
The peace accord has been signed. It's now left for politicians to adhere strictly to these agreements to ensure a violence-free election.
Our correspondent, Tokwe Kutei in Imo State. Okay, let's talk about this peace accord. Mr. Odutola, Mr. Kwan, and Mr. Motochoko, I know the three of you are hearing me right now, but let's see. Peace accords have been signed across the country. Different political parties, the latest one being Imo State, 24 political parties. And I think sometime in Kano, for instance, they've signed 2 peace accords. So are these peace accords being taken into cognizance in the course of campaigning for all these elections?
Well, I really think for our party, the peace accord is taken into consideration, and that is why, despite all incitement, despite all aggression, despite all intimidation, despite all blackmail and false accusation, false publication, we still hold our peace. We still advise our people, tread gently. The wife of the president still, the wife of our own presidential candidate still goes about appealing to the people, fear not. All the false allegations that you will be sent to jail, you will not be sent to jail. Despite the hate speeches that are coming out, we're still showing maturity. It's left for the players. Most of our own players, which is also in the public domain, would agree to a large extent that a lot of inciting statements, I don't want to mention names, because if I mention names, I'll be giving them honorarium which they do not deserve. But we all know Fanika Ode can come and blow his trumpet. Fayose will come, Governor Fayose will come, say some other things.
I thought you said you were not going to call names. Let's bring in Mr. Kwan here. Mr. Kwan. Hello.
Yes, the People's Democratic Party, even without the peace accord, has been a party of peace. It's a party that believes in the sanctity of Nigeria. It's a party that has said, look, if we need to have the military and strategic locations for these elections to be very peaceful, why not? And so even without this peace accord, the People's Democratic Party has always sought for measures that will guarantee peace during and after the election. And then, of course, the peace accord is additional impetus which the People's Democratic Party and its candidates nationwide respect and insist that supporters respect. So, Nigerians know quite clearly who is desperate, who is frustrated.
Okay, Mr. Mochitoko, would these peace accords that have been signed by the political parties, the politicians across the country, would they in any way help? Would they be part of the evidence you'll be putting together, or items you are going to be analyzing? Should there be a need to prosecute?
Well, if they are violated, yes, indeed, that will be part of what we do. Now, peace accords in themselves are good. They should be encouraged, and they are at least a clear sign of the will to commit to peace. But in and by themselves, they are not enough. What is required is the commitment of the leaders. It is the conviction of the leaders. It is the actions of the leaders themselves by going out to the people and actually teaching peace, encouraging peace and talking peace, rather than not signing papers. Papers on themselves, I think, as has been clearly indicated, are not enough. So the conviction of the leaders and their going out and their actions should be much louder than the peace accords that they sign.
Right. Okay, Mr. Tokumbo, would you say that the actions of your candidates across board have been in line with the peace accords they have signed?
Oh, it's glaring. A perfect.
I mean, sometimes the leaders can sign a document, but the followers may not agree with that document. So they go about, because they want to serve the leader, without necessarily asking the leader's permission to serve.
I disagree with you. For instance, we have an evidence within us. Let me go back. February 14, the presidential candidate and the president did affirm positively that nothing would change February 14, that the election would take place then. Later on, the same Mr. President came out to announce the postponement, despite,
was it the president that announced the postponement?
Hold on. Despite his confirmation and assertion, body language that no, this election is going to take place. Despite the people always repeating that was going to hold.
Was it the president that announced the postponement?
The president informed us.
Was it the president that announced the postponement?
It was the INEC chairman that announced it.
Thank you.
However,
thank you. We'll have to go on a commercial. Mr. Kwan, please stay online. Mr. Mochichoko, when we come back, we'll look at that announcement of the postponement. Was it incited? We'll be back shortly. Don't go away.